Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today is going to be all about the do's and don'ts of doing your eye makeup. Before we get started today, I want to say a quick thank you to everyone who has still subscribed and watched my channel. I've had to take a little break from doing my videos because of some health reasons, so I haven't been able to upload as frequently as I have been wanting to. So thank you so much for still watching and still subscribing. So before we jump into the eye makeup, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and also feel free to share it with your friends. Alright, so we're going to zoom in and we're going to get started. Okay, so now we are very up close and personal. So I'm going to do the do side of the eye makeup on this eye, and I'm going to do the don't on this side. So the very first do and don't on my list is not concealing and setting your eyelids. So you might even be able to tell the difference already. This side I have already put on concealer and set with my powder, and this side I have not put anything on my lid at all. And you can see that this side is just a more covered and any kind of discoloration is gone, and this side you can just still see a little bit of redness and discoloration. Also, concealing and setting your eyelids before doing your eyeshadow look is going to help your eyeshadow stay nice and vibrant and stay in place all night long. So today I'm just going to be using my Tartelette in Bloom palette, something that I have used a lot of times on my channel, but it's an OG and I love it. Next up is not doing your transition color before you go into a darker color for your eyeshadow. So for instance, instead of just going in with a darker shade like one of these to start with, what you want to do is go into a lighter shade over here to build your transition shade first and get that nice transition down first, and that's just going to help your eye look more complete and look more put together. So I'm going to go ahead and put down my transition shade on the do side. So I am choosing just kind of a warm light color to sweep on as my transition. And you can see that just gives a nice light wash of color to start off the base of your eye look. Okay, so now I have a nice transition shade laid down on this side, so I'm going to go into a darker shade right here, and I'm just going to start the look on this side. As I'm doing this side, I'm also going to show my next tip, which is you do want to blend. So as you could see, when I was putting down my transition shade, I was doing circular motions with my brush on this side like this, and doing windshield wiper motions in my crease and really buffing and blending this color out. And that's just going to give you a beautiful lay down of color. This side, I'm just going to go in with that darker shade, and I'm just going to kind of pack it on and not focus on blending out this color. So now I'm going to continue on the do side, and I'm going to go in with this more tapered brush to go ahead and blend that same darker color on this side, but I'm going to make sure I'm also blending this color out I'm going to make sure I focus this color kind of on the outer corner of my eye, and I'm going to make sure I'm using the circular motions and sweeping into the crease. I'm also going to make sure as I'm blending this that I am not going as high up as I did with the transition shade. So you want to focus this next step in your eyeshadow look more towards the lid instead of going up towards the brow bone. All right. So now in the wrong order, I'm going to go ahead and put my transition shade on this side. And I'm going to focus it in the crease instead of blending it up towards the brow bone. I'm just kind of packing it onto the lid. So next up, I want to blend out this eye even more. So another do and don't is you do want to use a clean, fluffy brush to blend out your eyeshadow. So what you don't want to do is use a brush that you've already used for another product, like this one that I have been already using on this eye. You're going to end up putting more color down than you planned. But if you use a nice clean brush, what that's going to do is just diffuse any of those edges, make everything nice and soft without adding any extra color to your eye look. So something I always like to do for an eye look is use a shimmer shade. So for the don't side, I'm going to take this nice flat brush from Pure Minerals and I'm going to dip into my shimmer shade and just brush it right onto the lid. So for the do side, what I'm going to do is take my ring finger and I'm just going to dip into that shimmer shade. And what this is going to do is give you a better payoff of color. So you can see the difference between the payoff of color I got on this side from just using my ring finger and this side from using the dry brush and just sweeping it onto the lid. You can see how much more vibrant that shimmer shade is on this side. So I'm going to continue the shimmer and I'm going to go into a little bit more of like a darker bronzy shade and put it on this side with the same dry brush that I used to apply this lighter gold here. Okay, so on the do side, I'm going to go in with my ring finger again and just kind of patting this bronzy shade right onto more of the outer third of the lid. And again, you can see the difference in the payoff of color between those two sides. And this side, I'm just going to leave as is. This side, I'm going to go in with that same clean brush as before. And I'm just going to lightly blend those two shimmer shades together. So you just get this nice gradient of color. And here you can kind of see where the gold is and where the bronze starts. But here, I just want a nice blend of color. So definitely go back in with that same clean brush and tap out the edges of those shimmer shades. Alright, so for the don't side over here, I am going to leave the eyeshadow just as it is. On the do side, I'm going to go in with my favorite smudge brush from e.l.f. and I am going to finish the eye look by continuing the eyeshadow on the lower lash line. So I'm going to start with the same color that I used in the transition, and I am just going to buff this lightly onto my lower lash line, connecting it up to the existing shadow on the top lid. And I'm not taking that color any further than about right here on my eye. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a darker shade and go even further on the outer corner and just blending it into that outer third of the lower lash line instead of the 2/3 that we put the transition color. And this is just going to bring some depth and dimension to your lower lash line and just give you a nice gradient of color from the lighter color to the deeper shades. And you can see, look how much bigger this eye looks than this one and how much more finished that eyeshadow looks on this side rather than just leaving the lower lash line blank on this side. Something else that I like to do towards the end of doing my eyeshadow look is going back and making sure I don't want to add a little bit more depth and dimension to the look. So what I'm going to do is now go back into this utility brush from Pure Minerals that I used to lay down the darker color in my kind of outer corner crease area, and I'm just going to go in and add a little bit more depth and dimension to this eye here. And then also go back with this clean brush and make sure the edges are all buffed out and blended. And you can do the same thing with the brush that you used for your transition shade. And always go back and make sure that that color is redefined, because I always tend to go a little bit light on my transition shade when I first start off my look, and I like to go back and reblend and add a little bit more color back further up towards the brow bone, which I just think makes the eye look even bigger. Because I use a Scott Barnes brush to buff out my transition shade, I do not feel like it needs to be further blended out with a clean brush. But if you didn't feel like yours blended out great, go ahead and grab that clean brush again and just buff on the edges of your transition shade just to give a nice blend of color. So now that we have almost finished up the eyeshadow portion of this look, I'm going to go ahead and line just the upper lash line on the do side of my eye and just packing it as close as I can to my lashes, and I'm only taking it about 2/3 of the way through my lash line. I'm going to leave this area blank and open. And this just gives a more natural look to your liner. You can choose to do whatever you would like as far as if you'd like to create a line further in towards your tear duct, but this is just a personal preference of mine, just to leave the liner looking very natural. Alright, so now I'm going to do liner on the don't side. So first, I'm going to take the exact same color and I'm going to go in and line the inside rim or the waterline on my eye. And I'm also going to line the lower lash line. And I'm going to take this color about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way along the lower lash line. And I'm also going to line my upper lash line all the way from the tear duct to the end of the lash line. So now you can really see the difference between the do side and the don't side with this liner. What I feel like this liner is trying to accomplish is to make the eye stand out and really make the shape of your eye pop. But what I feel like it's really doing is making this eye look so much smaller. Look at how tiny this eye looks in comparison to this eye. Now what you really could do is put a little bit of your eyeliner color right along the outer corner of your lash line. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if you did want a little bit of dimension on your lower lash line without doing this full raccoon look, is take that same color and very, very lightly go, not in the waterline, right on the very outer corner of your eye. If you wanted a little bit more dimension to your lower lash line, and I still feel like that makes this eye look so much larger than this one, and I really feel like putting that dark color in the waterline is just making this eye look so much smaller and just not as pretty. Alright, so the next step for the do and don't side of doing your eye makeup is curling your lashes. So on the do side, I'm going to go ahead and start curling this side. And this is my favorite eyelash curler. This is from Shiseido. So what you want to do is get that curler right to the base of your lashes and then just give a little pulse. And you can go in as many times as you would like till you get the desired shape and effect that you would like for your lashes. So now I'm going to go in with mascara and coat those lashes that are nicely curled and lifted from the eyelash curler. So you can see that my lashes are nice and lifted and they're curled up, and they just give a nice wide open eye look. So now to finish off the mascara, I'm going to go in and continue on finishing up the eyeshadow and the eyeliner and mascara whole eye look by adding the mascara to the lower lash line as well. And I just think that it gives it a really nice finished, complete look. So on this side, I'm going to go in without curling my lashes and apply the same mascara to my lashes. Got a little mascara on my eye, but I will wipe that off in just a minute after it dries. So take a look at the lashes on this side. They're nice and curled, they're uplifted, and this side is just as straight as a board. And really, the mascara did nothing but make my eye look smaller and drag it down, and I don't even have words to describe the difference between my lashes right now. Definitely take the 2 seconds it takes and curl your lashes. Alright, so my last tip for this do and don't eyeshadow eye makeup look is highlighting the inner corner and the brow bone of your eye. So what I'm going to do is use my highlighter shade, and again I'm going in with my ring finger, and I'm just going to take this color and put it right on the inner corner of the eye, and also taking that color just a little bit on the lower lash line. And what this is going to do is really just bring light to your eyes and add that little extra dimension. Also, I think it just gives a really beautiful finish to your eye look. If you don't personally prefer a shimmer shade like I do, you can always highlight with a light matte shade. And what that's still going to do is just make your eye pop and stand out without giving you that extra shimmer. Okay, so this is the do side, and this is the don't. Tell me what you all think in the comments. I'll give you a little bit of an up-close look here at the eyeshadow and how everything is blended between the two sides. I personally think these tips make such a big difference on how your whole eye look turns out. These are things that I have learned just through trial and error, and also just doing my own makeup on a daily basis. Alright, so that completes today's video. I hope you enjoyed this little bit different of a video for me to show some tips and tricks of just things that I personally like to do, and this is just my personal preference on how I like to do my own eye makeup at home. So if you all would like to see also some do's and don'ts on how to do your face makeup, let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless. Bye guys.